we're going to start a new unit, which is going to be operations management. And the very first chapter of this unit is about the role of operations management. So let's get started. Operations management is basically just a new way how to say production management. Production management this is what it was called ages ago when the production was happening in factories. We were mostly producing just goods, physical goods, and operations management is what it has involved in when we not only talk about those typical companies that are just producing goods, but we can also talk about operations management, for example, in service. If you have a call center, the person responsible for the team of people calling customers would be the operations manager. Yeah, so suddenly the operations is a word that covers a larger area, a larger topic. That's why it's pretty much the same thing, but operations management involves more industries, more fields. So in this unit, we're going to have a look at what is operations management. We're going to discuss the relationship with other business functions, its role in producing goods and services, and what or how can we achieve sustainability? What are the strategies that are leading to sustainability? So this picture we've seen mainly in Unit 1. Inputs are turned into outputs, and operations management is basically focusing on the transformation process, of turning inputs into those outputs. We discussed inputs, what inputs are, and in this chapter it also mentions it. So this is on one hand it is recap, on the second hand the 5.1 chapter definitely wants you to know what the different inputs are. So here it leads us back to the factors of production. We know it's land, all the physical resources coming from land. Labor, this is all the people's efforts that go into production, into producing our products. Capital, this would be all the machines and also all the capital, basically also all the finance needed to produce our goods and services. And then enterprise was the one sort of risk-taking ability, the ability to lead, to put all these other factors of production together in order to produce the products. So this is just a recap. And the transformation process is basically about adding value to the inputs. So operations is about adding value. Now, what does adding value mean? If I have a selling price of 120, let's say, crowns, and the cost, all the costs of the different factors of production that go into it cost me 100 crowns, then the added value would be those 20 crowns, the difference basically between the cost of purchasing my raw materials and the price that I'm selling it for. Why would anybody be willing to pay the extra 20 crowns if all my costs are only 100? Well, that's because I have added value to all the raw materials. I've added value by putting them together, by putting some creativity into my products, by thinking, maybe designing, thinking of some kind of unique way how to use these raw materials. And that is basically why people are willing to pay for this extra added value. The added value will depend on the design of the product or also the nature of the service. So if you have a better service, a better nicely designed product, then obviously your customers are going to be willing to pay more. because you have a higher added value. Also, it depends on the efficiency of combining resources and the perceived value of your product. Now, the efficiency of combining resources, why that is part of operations management, that is quite obvious. It is directly linked with how efficiently we are using our inputs. And what else? Also, the design of the product and the nature of the service is also quite closely linked to operations management. So as you can see, operations management is very closely linked to this concept of added value. Now, what would be the priorities of an operations management? If you would be an operations manager, what would be your objectives? Let's think. Efficiency of production. You would definitely want to achieve higher efficiency, make sure that your production is more efficient than it was a year ago, for example. You would want to achieve higher quality. All your products should have higher quality, or at least the desired quality that you're promising to your customers. It doesn't necessarily have to be that it has to be the best product ever. If, for example, you have picked to create, let's say, low-cost products, that's fine. But it needs to be of the quality that the customers are expecting. And the last one is flexibility and innovation. So the operations manager definitely needs to be flexible, innovative, make sure that also the products are innovative. If we were to put this together and somehow create one sentence of what would be the operations priorities, it would be to produce goods and services of the required quality in the required quantity at the time needed and in the most cost-effective way. If we, as operations managers, are able to achieve this, then we've done our job well. Now, what is the relationship of operations management with other business functions? The other business functions, as we know, are finance, marketing, human resources. And the relationship that we have with them would be anything that, or any, let's say, a situation where our department, the operations management department, would sit down with one of the other business functions and decide on something together. So now this is a great opportunity to have an exercise out of that. So I would like you to, for each business function of the three that we mentioned, so marketing, finance, and human resources, write down these three examples of situations in which the operations management will communicate with any other business function. Okay, I will, please pause the video, have enough time to actually try to think of these situations, to write them down, and when you're ready, you can start the video again. Okay, so what would be the answers? What could be the answers that you've written for this exercise? Well, let's have a look. So finance, purchase of supplies. You might be deciding which supplies to buy. One supply, you can have an offer of one supplier, different supplier. You might be thinking what quantities of supplies to buy. So here with the finance department, you're discussing that, and the reason why the finance department might be interested in discussing this with you is because of the cost. If I'm purchasing a higher number of supplies, I'm bulk buying. We already discussed that. It's economies of scale. One of the, let's say, reasons behind economies of scale. And if I'm bulk buying, that drives the cost down. However, if I have too many supplies, I need to store them somewhere. So that might also, um, on another hand, actually drive the cost up. So we need to find a right balance, and this is why we might discuss this particular issue with finance. Second one, operations management is responsible for innovation and research center. Okay, so then the finance guys, are probably going to fund the innovation and research center. Okay, great. And the third one, added value. If we want to cut costs and, let's say, increase our added value, then we would be also discussing that with finance. Marketing needs to understand the features of the product in order to advertise it better. Okay, so they're probably going to meet with our department to discuss the features, to understand the product better, so that they can ask us questions, we can answer, we can have a discussion of what would be the basically key characteristic that would make our customers buy the product. Then obviously we need to set the right price for the product. So this is closely linked to the pricing strategies. Sales of the product are increasing or decreasing. So also we might be discussing with marketing these sales trends, and therefore adjust, let's say, our production amounts. If our sales have decreased, then we might need to actually also decrease the amount produced, so that we don't have extra products in stock. Human resources would be helping us with hiring new personnel for the production line department. So we will discuss the quantity of staff needed with them. They'll be helping us with training new employees. So here we're also discussing with them the quality of the staff needed. We're going to discuss salaries with them as well. And if there are any workplace disputes at the shop floor in factory, then obviously human resources are going to be involved as well. Okay, so this type of a question might actually also come up, probably not in this specific way, but might come up in an exam. So be ready to actually flexibly answer this question. Now, the role of operations in achieving sustainability. There are three types of sustainability. It's ecological sustainability, economic, and social. And operations needs to think about all three of these factors. And the idea is that the ideal operations department is going to find the little spot where all three sustainabilities are met. Okay, very often it's referred to as the planet, people, profit approach. So the three P's approach, where we are definitely focusing on the planet, what's best for the planet. We're trying to be ecologically sustainable. Then we're also having a look at the people, how our workers, whether they're safe, whether they have a pleasant environment to work in. But at the same time, because we are a business, we need to look at our profit, and whether what we are doing in operations management is meeting profit. So this the intersection of these three is the gold spot. That's where you want to be as an operations manager and your department. Okay, so how to achieve this sustainability? Well, let's first define what we mean by each of these sustainabilities. So ecological sustainability would be a capacity of ecosystems to maintain their essential functions and processes and retain their biodiversity in full measure over the long term. Okay, how do we achieve that? We might be thinking with our products and our processes whether we are maintaining the function of these ecosystems. With social sustainability, it's the ability of a community to develop processes and structures which not only meet the needs of its current members, but also support the ability of future generations to maintain a healthy community. Okay, so somehow here we are also making sure that it's not just the ecosystems that survive, but also the members and the communities are healthy and able to survive in the future as well. Economic sustainability would be within a business context. It would involve using the assets of the company efficiently to allow it to continue functioning profitably over time. So again, efficiency is a word mentioned a lot in operations management. And here again, efficiency would be closely connected to productivity, closely connected to economies of scale, producing more with less things, which would be obviously better for ecological sustainability as well. But the idea is that we need to be focusing on all three, and how that can be manifested. With ecological sustainability, it would be anything, or to achieve ecological sustainability, we would be doing anything from the following list. We would try to reduce waste, use less energy, use energy from renewable sources. We would try to reduce water use. We would recycle, or we would design products that use recycled materials. We would be also designing products that don't use non-renewable energy. Okay, this is I mean, as a society, we're discussing this over and over and over again, but still it's not a standard. And a lot of companies are still not using recycled, let's say, paper to make their brochures and whatnot. They're still using like new paper, let's say. Why? It's such a waste. Social sustainability. What can we do there in order to achieve social sustainability? Here we can design production systems that are safe and healthy for the staff. So very closely related to human resources. We take care of our staff, make sure that they're safe. Designing workplaces to allow for social interaction. So here we're making sure that they're a well-working community, that they can interact. Create jobs in low-income areas. Okay, so this is very closely connected to the host countries. If we're, let's say, moving abroad and we're operating in a different country, how to actually benefit our host country? How can we create jobs so that the country that is hosting us actually is also benefiting from it? We need to think globally. Reducing the negative impact of production on communities. So here, for example, cutting pollution. Okay, so make sure that if I'm present there, it's not going to somehow affect negatively the community of my workers. And economic sustainability. Here, what am I thinking about? The managing assets. I should be managing assets so that they last longer. Okay, so here, we should be respectful of the machines. We should be, reading the manuals, trying to make sure that we actually use the machines properly, that we are regularly, let's say, giving it the machine the care that it needs, so that it actually lasts longer. Increasing labor and capital productivity. So here we're doing everything we can in order to cut the costs, increasing efficiency and competitiveness. Okay, so competitiveness increases as efficiency increases. Great. Researching and developing products that customers want that have a clear USP, unique selling proposition. Okay, so we shouldn't be just producing products that are not in any way special. If we are actually going to produce better products, then that is also more economically sustainable. More people will buy it. It will solve the wants and needs of a larger amount of people, and it will have even probably higher added value. And this is what the ultimate goal of the operations management is basically to create higher added value with the existing amount of resources. Okay, and the idea is that we are doing all these activities and they should be in sync, they should support each other, not go one against each other. Now, that would be the only way how we can achieve the three P's goal: the planet, people, and profit. And this is basically it for this chapter. We've discussed the relationship with other business functions. We've discussed what is operations management, its role in producing goods and services, and the different strategies and practices, how we can achieve the different types of sustainability.